Hidey-Ho friends, welcome back. If you've been watching my channel, you may have heard me say that I don't burn candles, that I use candle lamps or candle crocks instead. Sometimes I get the occasional question about them, so I thought I would do a mini series talking about what they are, why we would use them, and kind of the features. Today in part one, we'll talk about what they are, why we would want to use them, maybe a little bit of safety on them, and how they work. And in part two, we will talk about and we will look at and talk about three of the lower end, so lower price and lower feature candle lamps. And then part three, we'll talk about some of my higher end, so higher price, more features on candle lamps. And then part four, the final one, we will talk about candle crocks, and we will look at the ones that I have. In front of me right now, I have the first candle crock that I bought, and I have my favorite candle lamp. And why we want to use these instead of burning candles, one of the reasons is kind of obvious, I think. It's no flame, no open fire, right? But even more so than that, these can be great for problem candles, whether it's soot or tunneling or just bad wick issues. These are a great alternative. Even if you have curious kids or pets in the house and don't want to have an open flame, these are great alternative. Some people live in apartments or other areas where we are prohibited from using or from burning candles. So maybe this is a great alternative to enjoy your home fragrance without the fire. Some people actually use these as a way to make their own wax melts. They may buy a candle, put it in either the crock or under the lamp, and melt the wax, and then pour the melted wax into silicone molds, make their own wax melts. And me personally, I started using them because I am very sensitive to the kerosene type note that candles can sometimes have. So most people don't notice that probably ever in their life with candles. Certain fragrance oils are more prone or more likely to have that kerosene note, but for me, it's pretty much every candle that I've burned, I get that note. So the lamps and the crocks allow me to enjoy the fragrance of the candle pure and clean as it's intended to be without that kerosene note for me. And another great advantage of using the lamp is that it can give you very quick fragrance, and both the lamp and the crock, you can get longer and stronger fragrance maybe than what you would burning a candle. So this could also help if you have a weak candle or a problem candle. Then maybe you don't feel like you need to return it, because you can just put it under the candle lamp or put it in your candle crock and still enjoy the fragrance. Or maybe you have one of those rare chocolate bacon cupcake candles or some kind of rare candle that you don't want to use, but you don't want to waste and let the fragrance just disappear without using it. A candle lamp would be my best personal choice to enjoy those rare candles and get every scent, every second of scent out of it. Because the wax in a candle lamp or a crock, it doesn't evaporate. So you decide when you're done with that set of wax and when it's not giving you enough fragrance anymore. So for those rare candles, these are the way to go. I know some people love the ambiance of a candle, the flickering flame, and I completely understand that. I used to think the same thing, but I've actually grown to like the glow of the candle lamp on top of the candle just as much. And if I really want the flickering flame effect, I have some of those fake flameless candles that I can use as well. Now, for safety, the main thing with safety on the lamp or the crock is the wicks. So let's kind of talk about how a candle crock works. Excuse me. So the candle crock is basically a little crock pot for your candle, right? Anything will fit in here. It doesn't have to be this tall. It can be a shorter candle. It can be a smaller round candle. It doesn't have to fill it really, but it sits on a hot plate, but the sides kind of help it stay warm and melt a little faster. So a candle crock will melt from the bottom of your candle all the way up. So it's going to take a little longer in a crock for your candle to release fragrance because it's got to melt all the way from the bottom and up. But that also means, because it's melting from the bottom, let me just grab a candle here. If it's melting from the bottom up, your wicks are actually glued to the bottom to stay in place, right? As it burns, the candle makers want those wicks to stay where they're supposed to be so they don't get too close to the glass. When you're using a crock, a candle crock, you're melting from the bottom, so that wick glue that's holding them in the bottom, it's going to come apart. It's not going to stay glued where it's supposed to be, not to mention the entire candle is melted, so those wicks are going to move and sway where they shouldn't. So for a candle crock, I would say if you put it in a crock, do not ever burn the candle again. Those wicks are not usable once you've put it in a crock. Now for a lamp, this is the great advantage of a lamp. It melts from the top down, and it's not going to melt the entire candle. It's only melting a layer at a time. And so the wicks, as far as safety, the wicks are going to move within that, however deep down you've melted it. So be very careful if you ever decide to burn a candle after you've put it under a lamp, that you make sure those wicks are not near the glass or the container to cause problems. So a candle lamp, back to my candle here, this is a tall 22-ounce candle. So a lamp, one bulb, is not going to melt this entire candle all at once. That's the advantage though. So it will melt, say, 1 inch to 2 inches, and because it's not a fire using that wax as a fuel, the wax doesn't evaporate. It sits there and it just releases fragrance, and you decide when you're done with it, when you're done with that layer, it's melted, you decide, I'm not getting any more scent from it. So you can cotton ball it, or you can pour it out into another container. Don't pour wax into the sink. Hopefully we all know that. And then, so you pour off, you get rid of whatever that unscented layer, and you have another whole layer, maybe multiple layers if you've got a tall candle like this. So that's the advantages of the lamp. As you can tell, my favorite now is the lamp. They do have features. We will talk in more detail in part 2 and 3 about the features on the lamps. But real quick, features for a candle crock, there are none. I mean, it's off, it's on, that's all there is to it. I don't know of any that come with a timer or anything like that. And while we're talking about timers, because it takes so long for a candle to melt from the bottom up in a crock, I leave these on 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. And usually a candle lasts, say a Bath and Body Works candle. They're about 4 inches wide, maybe about 4 inches deep. It lasts about a week. Sometimes it's half a week, 3-4 days, but sometimes I get a candle that will last 3 or 4 weeks in a crock on 7 days a week, 24 hours a day. So if you don't feel comfortable actually leaving a crock on, that's fine. But just know that it's going to take a while for it to melt from the bottom up before you get that scent release from it. And candle lamp. So there are features with candle lamps. The first ones that I bought, which will actually be in part 2, the next part of this series, there are pretty much no features. There's no timer, no dimmer, anything like that. This one I have has a dimmer built into it. It also comes with a timer, but I don't use timer, or I don't buy the lamp with a timer. I'll explain a little bit more. So if I buy I'm losing my words here. If I buy a candle lamp that has a timer built into it, then I can't use smart plugs with it. And that's what I use. Smart plugs or the timers that plug into the wall, and I set it. If I have a timer on the piece, it's not going to work with those, basically. So if you use those, make sure you don't get one. Make sure you get one without the timer feature. Sorry, going into way too much detail there. But so this, I have a dimmer. And the most fun thing that they added here is the adjustable lamp. That means if I have a little bitty short candle, I can bring this lamp lower to it. If I have a tall candle like this one, I can raise this so this will fit under it. So that is great. I can't believe people didn't think about it sooner because my first several candle lamps that I bought they're not adjustable. So tall candles like that, I was just out of luck. And short candles, or even like a Bath and Body Works candle sitting under here, if I was down to the last inch or so of it, I could not raise the lamp up. I would have to put, like set it on its own lid to raise it up just a little bit. Anyway, so that's to give you a little information on the two and the advantages, disadvantages of them. Let's see. Trying to think if there's anything else. I will go ahead and end, I guess, this part. If you think of anything that I did not cover, please leave a comment or a question in the comment area below. Keep an eye out for part 2, 3, and 4 of this, where we will actually look at and talk more in depth about features and candles that will fit, etc. And if you haven't already, give me a thumbs up for this, and definitely subscribe if you haven't already subscribed. That way, anytime I upload a new video, it will show up in your subscription feed. Thank you all for watching. I will hope to keep all of this series to fairly short videos, and I will see you in the next video. Bye-bye.